Hi all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On today's episode of the idiot-proof reef tank, we're going to add light to this water box. Alright, so hopefully by now you've seen episode 1, and then when I chucked it in reverse and went back to episode 0 to explain the purpose of the idiot-proof reef tank, just because I got a little bit ahead of myself and got excited once I got my pizzery hands on this water box, and you can see by some of the smudges there I still have pizzery hands, so I apologise about that. But we're up to episode 2 now, and it's probably one of the most critical elements of a reef tank, and that is light. Now, if I can bring your attention back to the whole purpose of this tank and the criteria that we need to fill, this idiot-proof nano tank is all about bringing new people into reefing. People that have never kept an aquarium before, whether they've never kept a marine aquarium before, whether they've never kept an aquarium full stop. The idea of this build is that we can give a set of instructions and some suggested equipment to someone, and they can set up this tank, follow the basic maintenance, and have a successful, thriving tank. Now, when I say thriving, I don't mean having every single coral under the sun and 4 tangs in here. Basic stuff, a pair of clowns, some zoas, some morphs, maybe a torch or a hammer, maybe even a leather coral, something like that. So, with that in mind, what light do we want to add to this tank? Now, I'll go over some of the discussion points that we had in some of the other videos soon, and some of the fantastic suggestions I had from the community on lights to put on this tank. And I must admit, I thought it over pretty hard because it's a part of the market that's absolutely flooded with options. And I'll let you know which one I went with shortly, but some of the options that are out there, one of the first ones that came to my mind was the AI Prime, a beautiful, very controllable, small nano light, good price, relatively easy connectivity, and comes with some built-in lighting maps. It was a good option. I had a look at the Illumagic Blaze Mini, a very powerful and incredibly affordable light coming out of Australia. Absolutely would give this tank some room to grow in future, and would probably grow SBS under it. Some of the other options I looked at were the Zet Light option, some of the Coral Box options, a NV Aqua Nano Light, and a few more that escape me right at this moment. But the one that I ended up going for is, boom, the Kessel A80. Now, alright, some of you who pay attention will know that my channel is sponsored by Kessel, and it also is sponsored by the Australian distributor of Kessel, so you may think it's a biased choice. And you're entitled to think that, that's no problem. I can disclose that I did not get this light or mount for free. I did pay for it. It was a touch under retail, but I did not get it for free, and I'm going to explain my reasons for choosing this light. And like I've said in the episode 0, feel free to use that justification and explanation to either pick this light or go something else. That's totally fine. But some of the main reasons why I went with the Kessel A80 was that, in my opinion, it is idiot-proof. You cannot get it wrong. On a tank this size, you cannot overpower it. Doesn't matter, that intensity is at 100% now. I can turn that intensity down, that's fine. About the only thing you could really do is underpower it. You're not going to burn corals from too much light. The other thing that the Kessel A80 does really well is it has Kessel logic. So I can change the color here from I think it's a 20,000 Kelvin through to a 10,000 Kelvin. You cannot get the spectrum wrong. You do not have to pick a lighting schedule from your green channel, your red channel, your UV channel, your blue, your royal blue, your cool whites, your warm whites. There's none of that. Dial the coloring you want and you're good to go. Now, of course, if you want to, the A80 has the option of adding a controller, so you can build a schedule in there if you want. But for the idiot-proof tank, 1, to save money, and also 2, to reduce a huge amount of complexity, I'm suggesting we don't do that. You set this light up, you pick probably full strength brightness, because let's face it, this is not the brightest, I shouldn't say that, it's not the most powerful light on the market. It uses a pretty small amount of power. So you go full power and you literally pick the color you want. If you are the person that likes blues to pop, go the full blue spectrum. If you like a bit more white, like I do, I'm gonna go the full white spectrum, because that's still around, I think it's about, they say it's 10,000 Kelvin, but I think it's a little bit blue on that. I'll say 12 to 14,000 Kelvin. Now, some other things I like about this light is the price. This thing is very affordable. I'll put the retail prices down here, and that depends on which part of the world you're in. but it's the cheapest option that Kessel make, and for that reason it's very good. And particularly when you look at this beautiful mount you can get for it, which is not an expensive option, that fits this tank really well. It's a very simple to install and simple to set up light. I recommend combining it with a timer. So you pick your spectrum, pick your timer, pick a 10-hour light schedule. You might do from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Done. Okay, so I just want to come back to complexity for a second, particularly on the maintenance side, and this is why the Kessel A80 has to be considered as one of the front-running lights for the idiot-proof reef tank, and that's because it is fanless. It does not require any ongoing maintenance other than the occasional wipe on the lens with a dry cloth when the power is off on the light. And the fact that it's fanless just means that it's not going to get clogged up with hair and dust and overheat or get noisy or cause issues down the track, which is a fantastic feature in my opinion. Okay, now we did talk about keeping things as sustainable as possible, and the Kessel A80 uses a 24 volt 1 amp power supply, very light on power requirements. And of course, we can't forget about the attractiveness of the Kessel A80. Whilst being the little brother in the lineup, it still has that same shimmer and color that the rest of the Kessel range has. So it's definitely an attractive piece for this tank. Lighting, picked, sorted, controlled. Now, some caveats with this light. We're not going to be able to go SPS under it. Some people may argue that with me. Maybe some low light SPS you are going to be able to, but things like bird's nests or staghorns, definitely not robustas, would probably struggle under this much par. So straight off the bat, that's going to upset some people. I get that. Go for a more powerful light, no issue. But for me, on this idiot-proof tank, this Kessel A80 ticks all the boxes. Okay, so let me just remind you of the little caveat that the equipment in this series is just a suggestion. While I've picked the Kessel A80, it's not to say it's the only light that can do the job. I feel like I've explained the reasons why I picked the Kessel A80, and you can use those reasons to pick another suitable light if the Kessel is not the one for you. Keep that in mind when you're watching this series. Okay, now the other thing I promised is that I would review the comments and suggestions each week or each video so that we can keep this a community project rather than just me saying what should be used. So let's have a look at some of the best comments from the videos this week. Okay, so first up we have a comment from Tan Tran who says, "The simplest tank is a good beginning, simple and idiot-proof. Equipment should satisfy life support of the inhabitants. Plug and play equipment. Looking forward to this series and experiencing it from a retrospective side." Thank you very much for the comment, and I agree with you completely. I think a sumpless tank is a good move because that whole overflow and weir and sump is such a minefield for beginners. So a nice all-in-one tank simplifies that greatly. And I totally agree that we obviously need to make the equipment support the life support of the inhabitants and not really be above and beyond that. I know often in this hobby we look to prepare ourselves for upgrades. Absolutely not the go with this tank. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Thanks for commenting. All right, next up was a comment from Skillful Leader 1, and they said, "A great idea and plan. Totally agree that people get scared off after a very short time with dabbling in salt water because of easy mistakes, which is all part of the progression. 14 years in, and it's much, much easier as the hobby demands a more technical approach, but maintains a balance of simplicity too. It's all down to what you want to keep. Looking forward to the updates on how this pans out. Cheers." Thank you very much for the comment. I agree. Whilst the hobby has evolved and technology has made it easier and easier, realistically that just means we've tried to keep more and more complex livestock in our tanks. The corals and the fish that we try to keep now are just getting more and more difficult due to the better and better technology that we have. If we keep things right back where they were, say 10 or 15 years ago, where we're trying to keep leathers and morphs and maybe some zoas, with the technology we have today, that should be dead simple. So that's exactly what I want to bring to you. All right, next up we have Braveheart Reefer 525, who's a big fan. They usually watch my videos and comment, so big shout out to you, Braveheart Reefer. And Braveheart says, "A reef full of captive bred fish and coral was unthinkable not so long ago. Just shows how far the hobby has come, and I'm sure this series will help a lot of people get started on their reefing journey. We'll be following on." Thank you, I agree. That's the whole idea of this video, is I want to get people that have never ever considered keeping a reef tank before, watching this series and thinking, that doesn't look too hard, it's not too expensive, it looks pretty attractive, it's not impacting the ocean,
happy days, let's give it a crack. So I look forward to bringing you the rest of the series. And finally, another long-time fan, and Sonny normally leaves a comment, so I really appreciate that. Coming out of Europe, Sonny says, "Great tank, they should sponsor you. I have been thinking about getting one of these as my second frag tank. Good thing is dimensions means it's great for a single light. You want as square as you can get. I probably prefer the all-in-one 28.2 frag, but maybe better for SBS. Love the concept, love to see more people successfully getting into the hobby." I think you're spot on there, Sonny. There are some other tanks that would be more suitable for SBS if they were a bit more shallow, but obviously we're not trying to keep SBS in this one, so a little bit of depth for maybe some clowns to swim around in, or even for some really low light corals to go down the bottom, and just to keep it looking as I guess generic for new people. People new to the hobby think frag tanks look a little bit funny because they're so shallow. So hopefully this size and style of tank will appeal to the masses a little bit more. But I can't agree with you anymore. I think Waterbox should sponsor me. So Waterbox, if you're listening, give us a ring. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, that's probably all I got for Sonny's comment. Thank you very much. I look forward to bringing you the rest of the series.
Alright guys, that's it for this video. We've covered lighting, we've got the tank, we've got the light. Next video I'd like to bring to you the substrate and the scape. I've got to go away this weekend and do some more reefing things. Hopefully I'll bring you some more local fish shop crawls. But if you've got any thoughts or ideas about the sand and the rock and scape, I'd really appreciate if you want to pop those ideas or suggestions in the comments down below. I've got a couple of ideas, but I'm not locked into anything yet, so I'd really appreciate your feedback. And as always, if you've got any feedback about the lighting choice or even the tank choice, feel free to pop it down in the comment section below. Whilst I'm not going to change these options now, I'm more than happy to discuss what could have been a better option, or what I should have gone for, or why you think something else would be better. Like I said, I want to make this as a community-driven project as much as anything. So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up or a like, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future parts of this project. And till next time, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later.